10 matches in all competitions, and the only team to lower the Wolves' colours, the Catalan Dragons, both at home and away. So if they can avoid playing the Catalan Dragons anytime soon, that'd be great. But they do meet them again in round 12, so it's not far away. A chance for third time lucky for the Wolves. But first and foremost, they've got to get the job done here at Salford. And the Red Devils themselves, with a victory, can move into the playoff places, up into the top 6. And they'll look for a repeat of what we saw when they last met the Wolves here in Salford. And that was an absolute barn burner of a game towards the back end of 2023. When Salford got home 24-20 in Golden Point extra time. That was an epic game. Sam Stone scored the try brilliantly very late on in Golden Point extra time. It was a terrific game where both sides had the lead at various times in the race for the playoff places, and in the end Warrington scraped in but went out at the first time of asking to Saints and Salford. Well, they just couldn't quite get the job done. But Paul Rowley has taken them to within a game of Old Trafford the previous season when Saints put them out, and that was a terrific game as well, when they really pushed Saints all the way in 2022. So what are you expecting this afternoon, Barry?
I think if you look at the week that Salford have had, and particularly Paul Rowley, with that speculation and the interest from Hull FC, it can do one of two things. It can unsettle everybody, or it can galvanise the squad. And Paul Rowley, throughout his time as a coach, has done that really, really well. He's managed to use the outside noise to fuel the fire in his squad. And I think this Salford team love being an underdog. They welcome being an underdog against Warrington, who weren't great last week against Lee Leopards. And I'm not taking any credit away from the Leopards. I know that the Warrington side got the win, but nobody would have been happy in a primrose and blue shirt with the way that that game went for them. And truth be told, it wasn't until the back end, until a wonderful try from Matty Nicholson, that the game went in the favour of the Warrington Wolves. It will be a good game to watch, very exciting. I think it's close. And if I'm going to put anybody's money, even your money, Rod, I think it might be a home win here for the Salford Red Devils.
You won't be going near my money, don't you worry about that. But in saying what you said about the game against Lee, at full time last week, no one thought that was really a decent result for Warrington. But we look at the form now. Lee have just demolished the Catalan Dragons, so maybe it wasn't that bad after all to just squeak home at home to the Leopards. It's another win for Sam Burgess and the Wolves. 8 now, as I mentioned, in all competitions. Sitting third on the league ladder as we get underway here. And Warrington are going to have first use of the ball unless Mark Sneed has a trick play up his sleeve.
Let me know, Scott. Stay on, boys!
Well, it's a horrible bouncing ball to start that game.
One, move! Markers! Hold! Hold! Go.
Warrington Wolves will have to work out of their own end zone at the early part of this game. And good intensity from the Salford Red Devils early on.
3, move! Here, Callum. Hold. Hold. Go.
There were some elements of the game last week when they played the London Broncos, particularly in attack, that they would have been unhappy with. But both sides, particularly in defence, would have taken some credit, taken something from last week into this week.
Help! Release. Go last.
Well, just to give you confirmation of the starting lineups, just to confirm the referee is James Vella this afternoon. Tom Grant is watching the action and will make the video adjudications this afternoon, should they be necessary. So Salford have dealt with the first Warrington attack. Paul Vaughan making a return. He was suspended for a couple of games, came back in and on the bench last week, but Vaughan making a start today.
Yeah, he make a big difference. The pack's been performing really well for the Warrington side, but Ben Curry and Paul Vaughan in the starting lineup, that's a real benefit for them.
Well, new half-back partnership, therefore, for Salford this afternoon. We mentioned that Atkin has got the nod ahead of Cade Cust. Mark Sneed, as ever, in situ, having a superb season, as Barry mentioned. Sneed in a second spell at Salford, having started here and then gone away to Cass and Hull, but returned like a prodigal son. Matt Duffy under that, very safe under the high ball, and a terrific start to the season. Matt Duffy has scored in every away, scored a try in every away game up to press He's the leading scorer all told for the Wolves too, with 8, but he scored 6 on the road.
Free. Go move! Marcus. Hold!
Fairly steady start from both sides, isn't it? Both looking to build the game, and kick from 9 from Danny Walker.
It's a good one, and it'll drift over the sideline close to the 10-metre line.
He's another player in great form, Danny Walker. Growing with the responsibility, he's getting the game time, the minutes on the field, the trust you can see he's building with the players around him, and he's a real threat around 9, around dummy half. If there's any markers down on the floor, he's gone.
Yeah, he's an old school hooker, isn't he, in terms of those aspects you've just mentioned, Barry, and also he's a tackling machine as well. He's almost invariably Warrington's top tackler, and certainly was last week against Lee, so that's his game. And obviously Warrington on the bench have the very experienced former Wigan star Sam Powell ready to interchange in from time to time. Well, there's been nothing flashy from either side early on in the piece, as you'd probably expect, to be honest. It's a very important game for both clubs, even this early on in the season. After this round is completed, we'll have played a third of the Super League season, 9 matches of the 27 weekly rounds before playoff time. Here's Sneed, the cultured left boot, again aiming towards Dufty, and it's no problem at all again.
You know, we are in for a treat. We've got the top 3 leaders of the Man of Steel. Mark Sneed leads it. Second place, Matt Dufty, and then Nene McDonald. So those 3 players, I'm sure we'll be mentioning those 3 players quite a few times, but it'll be when the game breaks open, once we've got through this softening up period.
That
up forward.
It was forward, just as Josh Thulis thought he was going to go for a canter down the touchline. Thulis with already 5 tries this season, 13 goals as well.
Catch and pass from Steph Ratchford, playing in the centre. His versatility sometimes in his career has been his enemy, because he maybe will look back and say, I never actually managed or never got a chance to real fine-tune one position, but he continually does what's best for the people around him. He's playing in the centre, and I think he's very effective over on this right side for Warrington.
Yeah, I was going to say that Steph Ratchford is back on his old stomping ground, but of course when he was at Salford they were at the Willows. You know, it's that long ago. That's how long Steph Ratchford has been around.
Speaking of the Willows, I bumped into John Wilkinson, the ex-chairman, 30+ years as chairman. He was full of confidence and expecting a great game today. Wonderful man.
Yeah. And
well, there might be some trouble here. It's Big King.
Yeah.
Is it a crusher tackle?
Well, King Vuniyayawa manages to get back onto his feet, but very gingerly, you would have to say. Callum Watkins makes the half break, but no more than that as he's shut down. Sneed puts it to this near side, bringing in Tim Laffer, who's very much the offload king for the Salford Red Devils. They get to within 10 metres of the Warrington line, in front of the Warrington fans gathered behind those posts. Mark Sneed putting a step on, but can't find a gap in the Warrington defensive line. Here's the last tackle, and it will inevitably go back to Mark Sneed. Oh, well, now then, it's going to be a dropout, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll be interested what the referee gives here. He judged that kick to perfection, I think. Mark Sneed wanted a contest. Yeah, the referee says that ball. Let's have a look here. A beautifully weighted and judged kick. He never had control of that ball, so I'm glad that the referee's gone that way. It's a mistake, ball over the back line, and it's a dropout to Salford.
Dropout taken by Hayes.
That's a good charge. Another player in great form, Jack Ormonroyd, getting more minutes on the field.
There's been a real proclivity for short dropouts this season, but that wasn't happening there. It's knocked on.
No, he was never in a position to catch that ball. Keaton Vuniyawa escaped a ban, was given a red card last week at London, but his hands were down by his side. He was expecting that ball to go behind him.
And he gets a second start on the trot.
I think Chris Atkins expecting a lot of his front row there with 2 or 3 bodies in front of his face. It needed to go behind him. Big Sam and the coaching staff.
Warrington off the back of the scrum win. And we talked about Atkins being preferred to Cust. Warrington have been doing similar for most of the season, with Hayes being preferred to Drinkwater. So they're one of their overseas players not getting a starting gig because their local lad has been too good.
He's been excellent, excellent. And speaking to a certain former scrum half, he's got an admirer in Rob Burrow as Leon Hayes. Big fan of the way he plays.
Ratchford at dummy half here. The Wolves moving towards that Salford 20-metre area. Referee calling halt to proceedings. Someone taking a knock in there.
I think it's Big King at the back. You can see with the physio just trying to steady him.
Yeah, you'd say that he'll be going off for a concussion check here.
Yeah, the look at the back. The bench has Big Gil Dudson. It looks like he's just taking a stride there. I think he gets hit in the back by his own player, Jack Ormonroyd. He hits his own player into the Warrington player. That's a new one on me. Having their own game of billiards, Rob.
So King Vuniyawa makes his way off the field for the concussion check, and as Barry said, it's Big Gil rumbling onto the paddock.
Former Warrington player, of course.
Help! 50th appearance for Salford, I believe, Gil Dudson. He's been around a bit, to be fair. Hayes kicks under pressure.
You're up, Danny.
And it almost worked out, but was an inch or two too strong. But he tried to get the kick away under a lot of pressure, and in the end it leads to a 20-metre restart and a 7-tackle set for the Red Devils.
Well, Ethan Ryan carts that ball forward for Salford. He was under an injury out, picked up a knock last week. Tim Laffey, we've already seen his involvements. He was another player that had a bit of medical attention during the week. So Paul Rowley running the risk, rolling the dice with 1 or 2 injury question marks.
I think we've reached the phase of the season, 9 games in, where a lot of players are playing hurt, Barry, as you'll recall. That's what happens, isn't it? That's the game, that's the sport. And this is good stuff now from Tim Laffey. And Laffey like a rumbling train towards the try line. And Tim Laffey certainly over the line. The question is, has he grounded the football? And this is going to be a job, I think, the first job of the afternoon for our video referee, Tom Grant. But the referee on the field, James Vella, is indicating he believes it's a try. What say you, Tom Grant?
Okay, it's tackle 3 we've got an on-field call of the try. We're just checking grounding. So he's in possession at this point. Still in possession and going towards ground. Still okay. I've seen all I need.
Well, it looks as though he has, and he has. And the decision is going to be a try, and Salford take the early lead. And that's what they can do. They have a cutting edge in the outside backs for sure.
Well, that was a sensational try, wasn't it, from Tim Laffey? The words had just left my mouth about him being under an injury cloud. If he's injured, my word, lovely hands here. Nice involvement from Ryan Briley, the referee, who stays in the frame, stays in the field, and that's all instinct, power and desire from the centre, Tim Laffey. Beautiful involvement, as I said, from Briley. Hand off a couple of times on Ratchford. He hands off Nicholson. I think he's evaded 4, maybe 5 players to score that try. What a start from the home side.
Well, Mark Sneed is Super League's #1 master marksman with the boot. 31 successes from 32 attempts.
Bit of a challenger on the back foot.
And this is a tricky one. But is anything tricky when you're as good as this bloke? Well, he's missed it. That's a rarity. He's kicked 239 successful goals in Super League, which puts him 5th on the overall list, behind some of the greatest goal kickers in rugby league history: Andrew Farrell, Paul Deacon, Danny Brough, and the great Sir Kevin Sinfield has 1,566. So Mark Steed might need to play till he's 40 to make that amount up. He's on 939, so what's that? 627 behind Sir Kevin.
He's not just a player that can do special things off the boot, he can do special things with ball in hand as well. That's a wonderful start by the home side.
Yeah, well, the two centres for Salford, Nene McDonald and Tim Laffer, are amongst the leading offloaders in Super League. There was no need for an offload there, Barry, was there?
No.
He just rumbled over himself, swatting off Warrington defenders like they were irritating flies.
Showed good desire, didn't it? Could have succumbed to a couple of tackles there, but there's a fair bit of intensity in the carries from Salford. That's what's getting them the right side of contact, able to dictate the speed of the play of the ball, and that's the reason after 11 minutes they're on the front foot. That's beautiful. What an offload to Briley.
Tremendous stuff from Salford here. Oh, well, it was still alive, and now it's not.
Big shame there, wasn't it? What an offload from Callum Watkins, though. Gets through contact, able to present the ball, two-handed offload. And as Ryan Briley has done all the way through his career, just on the shoulder, he takes the gamble, doesn't he? Steps off the left, steps off the right. Could he have dabbed it forward with his foot? Could he have found a support pass? It's just excellent.
Ryan came on the inside, his wingman, and outside him was McDonald, so they kind of swapped places, the centre and winger. And in the end, Bradley got caught in about 4 minds and couldn't complete the try-scoring pass, which would have put Salford at least 8-0 up with a kick to come inside 13 minutes.
Well, he's gone for the try, hasn't he? And at the point where there's nothing on for him, understanding and realising his last tackle, he just passes the ball anywhere.
Well, Briley is a try-scorer. He's scored 4 this season.
Move now! Stay level!
So Warrington dodge a bullet.
Okay.
Rocky start for the Warrington Wolves, but it's not something that's happened. Well, it's something that's happened before in the Super League against Catalan and against Lee last week. Here's Thewlis. Thewlis has got no room in which to move, no wriggle room for the Warrington winger. Knocked into touch, 30 metres out.
Well, Tim Lafay with the tackle eventually, but it was good kick pressure that forced George Williams to run. Tried to attack over on that right side. It's a little bit high.
It is.
And Josh Thewlis is probably asking the question. I don't know whether the touch judge...
I think this could end up in a Warrington penalty because the touch judge is on here.
I've got contact.
I think you're right. I think you're right. And it's a shame, isn't it? 6 inches lower, and that's a great defensive effort.
And it is a penalty. So from having the ball themselves on the 30-metre line and ready to launch again, Salford are going to find themselves on the defensive as Warrington have got the field position and the possession they want as they trail 4-0.
Yeah, it's a shame. Tim Lafay just needed to bend his back a little bit there, hitting the ribs. These days, anything anywhere near the shoulder and it's penalised.
Yes.
And that puts them under pressure now.
Walks to Hayes.
Move now! Back! Hold! On the left! Mark, you're off!
Walker again involved, and then Williams shifting it from right to left as Warrington look to examine down that left-hand side. No Matty Ashton in the team today. He's out injured. Matty Russell on the wing. He spent a couple of games on loan at Hull FC earlier on in the season, scored a try there, but making his first Super League appearance of the season for the Wolves. Danny Walker again directing traffic. He's found Williams. Can they get the overlap on that far side, on the left-hand side? They can't. Is it another 6? Yes, it is.
Great work from Ethan Ryan. Unfortunately, touches the ball. 6 more tackles for Warrington.
Yeah, that was the penalty he had to pay for shutting down the attack, wasn't it? That he got his hand in there and touched the ball. But better to concede 6 more than concede a try, that's for sure. Well, they're going to consider a try here, no question about it. That's the easiest try you'll see this round, I think. And Warrington are now level, and they'll surely be in front very shortly, inside the 15-minute mark.
Well, James Harrison, hard, straight, hits the ball with intent, and goes through virtually untouched. Just shows you how costly penalties and field position are this afternoon. A Tim Laffey penalty high tackle gave the field position and possession. That's a poor effort from Gil Dudson. You'll be disappointed. A big man like that, Gil Dudson, would have had the opportunity to hit him in the ribs, clamp the ball up, but he just paused at the big man.
6'4" of prop forward, strolling through.
Father, of course, Carl, coached here in the 90s. And a wonderful record here, and we're always well thought of, Carl Harrison. But James now establishing himself as a real fixture in the pack at Warrington Wolves.
Well, Ratchford, the goal kicker this afternoon. Thulis has done a lot of goal kicking this year when Ratchford's not been on the field. 19 from 21 so far for Steph Ratchford this season. He did have that run that stretched back into last season of 41 successful goal kicks, and that's one of the easiest he'll ever have. And it's still worth 2 points just the same, and the Wolves now in front. Quite the turnaround here, Barry, and really that decision or the high tackle, I mean, it was a penalty, there's no question about that, but that incident was very much pivotal, wasn't it? Instead of Salford bringing the ball away from their own line, they were defending it, and they couldn't defend it effectively.
They'll talk about the focus and the concentration.
Stand sorry, boys. Stay on, boys.
And James Harrison not having to work that hard to get that ball down and score a try. It's a soft try to concede. Warrington didn't have to work for it. In many ways, it undoes the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, 4th try of the Super League season for Harrison. That's a decent output for a prop forward, no question. And Warrington are going to get another penalty here.
They don't get back the required distance, and James Vella penalising Salford again, and it's been an ugly couple of minutes for them.
Hayes has got good distance there, taking Warrington 10 metres inside the Salford half, looking for back-to-back tries here, which would really put them in charge of this match.
Move now!
Referee Vella stops the play momentarily, and now Paul Vaughan will drive it forward.
Stay square! Hold!
Again, Walker's there to marshal the troops, and they'll keep coming at them here.
Held! Release!
Plenty of tackles in the bank here.
3, 4. Move now! On the right. Hold. Hold. Go.
Walker comes to this side this time, the near side. That's the Wolves' right. They've spilled the football.
Surrender!
Good result for Salford there. Chris Atkin, I think it is, who ends up with the ball.
Wait! Move! Wait!
They'll just be delighted to get hold of the ball and try and work their way down the field and eradicate the last 3 or 4 minutes.
Lock in!
Joe Mellor, who picked up the ball in backfield for the home side.
Paul Vaughan has spilt it. And that try from James Harrison, by the way, Warrington's 41st of the Super League season, which takes them to the top of the team try charts alongside Hull KR and Wigan. Salford have now got 26 after that Laffey effort in the opening stages.
5, go together, kid! Hold!
That's a better set of possession, bit of ball movement.
Sneed with the bomb this time. Well, that's simple for one of the competition's in-form fullbacks.
A deliberate kick from Mark Sneed. Whenever he kicks it end over end like that, he's challenging his team to present that solid wall, that white and red wall.
2, move!
I like this shirt. It's an old-fashioned, old reinvention of a a 70s shirt with the S, the old Quality Street gang. You'd remember that, Rod, wouldn't you? Back in the 70s. I was just a star in the sky, me, then.
Not so much just rugby league analysis, but fashion comment from Barry McDermott. And Warrington here, in amongst all that frivolity, have made a mistake in a very dangerous area of the field.
Toby King trying to play that ball quick, trying to get some momentum at the play of the ball, but great work. Ollie Partington, we've got some terrific defenders. Ollie Partington, 51 tackles. Matty Nicholson, 53 last week for both of those players. But it's not always the amount, sometimes it's the quality and importance of those tackles, and that one from Ollie Partington resulted in a mistake.
When it comes to Sneed, once more, Affai, the try scorer for Salford. This time surrounded and closed down by 3 Warrington Wolves. Steph Ratchford involved, and George Williams too. Salford now with their first real position where they can set up base camp in the Warrington 20-metre area if they can just get over that red line, because their try scoring chances before came from breaks from deep. This is whistle's gone for a knock on.
Another knock on. Ollie Partington
seemed confused by it, didn't he?
Well, I'm trying to read a bit of body language there. There may well have been hands all over that ball, but it's his job and responsibility. You can see, there you go, yeah. See, body language. That's the reason he's confused. He's wondering why the referee hasn't seen Danny Walker rip that ball out. But you rarely get the benefit of the doubt in that situation. Most of the time they'll go knock-on referees.
No coach's challenge in the Super League. So you just have to suck it up. That was Williams who tried to dance his way through, and now George Williams has been awarded a penalty, and Warrington here now are going to get themselves out of their own half.
It was one of the things, sorry Rod, it was one of the things that Paul Rowley talked about last week at the London game. They'd make a mistake, they'd give a penalty away, they'd often double that up, and there'd be 2 or 3 back-to-back, and they've got to stop doing that. If they want to compete at the highest level against the top teams, if you make a mistake, you just sharpen that focus.
Yeah, that match at London last week was closer, I think, than most people thought it would be. They got home in the end 12-4, and a win is a win is a win. Vaughan showing the ball and taking it forward himself in the end to within 30 metres in a very central position of the field, so Walker can go either way. Finds Hayes shuffling his way towards the 20-metre line. Warrington knocking on the door again. George Williams just drops off a simple pass, and they'll set up again here. They've got it wide to Russell. Russell stepping inside. This will be the final tackle in this set of 6 for Warrington. Can they force another set, or even better, score points? The hoisted kick from Williams. Salford have got hold of it. And news from the sideline that King Vuniyawa has failed his HIA for Salford, so they'll be without the King's services for the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah, he does damage when he carries the ball, but he's only used in short stints by Paul Rowley, so it may affect the rotation, but in terms of the players that are on deck now, I think they're more than capable of covering. Mark Sneed going for a possible 40-20. It's just short, but he deliberately looked at that red line, deliberately aiming for it, probably recognising that they need to get away from their own 20-30 metre line.
It seemed very much a let's get out of here kick, and he's got his side up over the halfway line, but not much further.
He's one of those players, Mark Sneed. Reminds me of Lee Breers, Warrington ex-player. The longer they are in the game, the older they are, the more they understand the game and know how to cut corners and make the game easier. It's a big challenge. Good contact from Ormond.
Not much international recognition at the very highest level for Sneed, just as with Breers.
But it almost takes a career to understand the things that they know, and by the time they've learned it, they're almost done.
Oh, they've got Fewlis into a couple of yards of space here. He likes to cut inside. That's what he did when they scored the winning try through Nicholson last week. Here's Williams, the magician, with the ball, prodding the ball forward. It's going to be a try. Oh, it's knocked on. It's knocked on. It seemed a certain try. And Matt Duffy, of all people, has bungled it. Williams' kick seemed absolutely perfect, and it seemed that all he had to do was catch it and fall over, and instead he forgot to catch it and just fell over.
He's at his best, isn't he, George Williams, when he's got a few options available to him. Delicately puts that kick in the path of the fullback, but unluckily for the Warrington Wolves, he couldn't regather, and then they, in turn, give a penalty away.
Well, we've seen a big turning point on the 15-minute mark when Salford gave a penalty away when they thought they'd got Fewlis into touch, and the Wolves scored from it through James Harrison, and now Warrington thought they were going to score. I thought they were going to score. And now they have not scored and given a penalty away, so it's turned completely round, and it could be the possibility of a 12-point play here, as it were, saving 6 and then gaining 6 themselves, maybe. Was that high? No, says the referee. Salford fans screaming for a penalty. They're not getting one.
It's important for Salford. They spend some time down here, not necessarily score, although they might do.
Not on that play, but there's still 2 tackles left in this set. Here's Mark Sneed. The offload, the kick forward, picked up by Warrington. He won't have the pace, surely.
No. Poor option from Ryan Briley. Chose to kick that ball, and it just simply went to the hands of Danny Walker.
Danny Walker it was, and I suppose from Warrington's point of view, it was picked up by the wrong man. They wanted it to be Fewlis. But they have got the ball, and they've got themselves moving forward. That's the main thing, and they snuffed out that Salford attack.
Change made for Warrington now. Joe Philbin on. He'll add some impact and punch.
Again, the kick forward. This is going to be in goal, and is that a try? He's claiming it. George Williams, I said he was the magician. He's pulled a rabbit out of the hat there. If he scored from there, he looks a massive second favourite to get to that ball first, but it's going to be a video referee decision. And the referee on the field, James Vella, reckons it's a try. The most important opinion is now going to be, what does Tom Grant think of it all?
Tackle 3, we've got an on-field call to try, so we're looking at onside, offside first, and then into grounding. So we'll pause the ball on the foot. So everybody to the right of the kicker is onside, so we can go through towards the grounding now. So we'll take the corner, play through this, bouncing ball. Challenge is clean. That appears to be grounded. I'm just going to check the other angle. So ball's moving, challenge is fine, we've established that. And the other one that's going to give me any more on this is the first one we have, so we'll look at that on-field call to try. In possession. Just double check this angle. And the ball is grounded. Thank you. I've seen all I need.
It's entirely possible that the on-field decision of try from James Vella was key in that verdict, because Tom Grant, the video referee, is going to agree with the on-field official and say that's a try to Warrington. It's a moment of magic from George Williams. It's a moment Ryan Briley will want to forget.
It's about urgency, that try, isn't it? Ryan Briley, who, let's not forget, put a nothing kick in that Danny Walker picked up to get that set of possession. Needed to show more urgency, needed to understand that George Williams was breathing down his neck. A kick and chase, he kicked one, didn't he, for the fullback Matt Duffy a couple of minutes ago. He couldn't have known that Williams was behind him. You'd question the communication from those backfield players not to let him know.
Do you think, Barry, in the modern game, with all the data about repeat sets, there's always this desperation to avoid a repeat set? Back,
Yes.
you know, back many years ago, they'd have just booted it over the stand and lined up for a dropout.
You're right, and there's some criticism, isn't there? Either have a go at it or let it roll out, but on that occasion, that risk and that gamble, he's paid the ultimate price.
Stefan Ratchford has the sideline conversion to stretch the Warrington advantage. They're 10-4 up pending this kick from the former Salford hero. It's a good effort. It shaves the upright, but it's not through. Warrington's lead remains at a converted try.
Sam Burgess, Richard Marshall and Martin Gleeson, the last two that I mentioned, have all spent time here at Salford Red Devils, so they know what this club is all about.
Stay back!
But that was individual brilliance from George Williams, who chased his own kick, almost regathered.
My word, that's well collected on the full.
Yeah. You know what you're going to get from that player, don't you? Matty Russell runs the ball hard. He's difficult to handle.
He held on the ground and passed the ball off the ground.
Passed the ball off the ground.
He's been penalised. He must have felt like he was going into touch.
Yeah.
He's passed the ball off the ground. Yeah.
Well, George Williams wants to have his say, but in the end, the final say will belong to James Vella here.
He's passed the ball off the ground.
And that will be, it's a penalty to Salford. And it's a cardinal error, isn't it, to turn the ball over immediately from the set of six, having just scored.
Let's credit the defence, though, Rod. Look at the amount of players in Salford shirts making that play possible. He was probably half a metre away from the try line. So, again, communication from the players around him.
Gil Dudson literally crawling his way forward. Sneed. Salford here knocking on the door, looking for an equalising score. Right on the goal line here. Oh, and they're claiming a try. They're claiming a try.
He's got it, Joe Mellor. He's gone low and hard.
Tom, mate. It's tackle 3. I have a try.
And a try on the field again from James Vella. And again, decision for the video referee, Tom Grant. It's already having a busy afternoon here inside the first half an hour of play here at the Salford Community Stadium. 10-4 to Warrington. It could soon be 10-all. Tom Grant with the decision.
Because it's tackle 3, we've got an on-field call of a try. We're going to check if there's any contact and if there's any disadvantage from potential contact with the man that plays the ball. So this is the angle that is best for that. I'm just going to go on the corner camera for this one, just to establish if there's any disadvantage. Nobody's disadvantaged from this contact, so we're just into the ground and we'll stay on this angle. Does that ball get to the line there? So we'll wind this one back. Piece of grounded there, and then we'll follow through on this just to make sure. Right, that ball is up, so it's not grounded at this point. But if we roll this one down, see if we can zoom on that. Just to establish whether the ball is grounded at this point. So we've got an on-field call of a try. So that ball must be grounded at this point there. I can see white there, the ball is grounded. Thank you, I've got my decision.
Okay. And this therefore looks as though Salford are going to be back within 2 and shortly level, because this is going to be Salford's second try of the afternoon. Confirmed. And Joe Mellor, the scorer from very, very, very close range, to go with Tim Laffey's opener, which in combined terms cancel out the tries from Harrison and Williams for the Wolves.
He's been a good buy, Joe Mellor, hasn't he? His versatility is key for Salford. All started with that intensity in defence, a smart kick-off from, again, the Master-in-Chief, Mark Sneed. Good defence, a forced error, and from that possession, it looked like it was going nowhere, but Joe Mellor was always scheming, always thinking, as soon as I've half a gap, I'm going low and hard, and I'm going to have a crack.
And a 99th career try for Joe Mellor.
Been a good buy from Lee, hasn't it? Paul Rowley again looking at how many different variations he can use within his squad, and at the moment he's being utilised at 9. He can play 6 or 7. And he's a brilliant addition in 2024 for Salford.
Yeah, he's playing a bit of hooker now, with Amir Buru being sidelined at the moment for the Red Devils. But as Barry said, very versatile. He can quite happily play in the halves or even at full back. His time at Lee and Widnes, and was part of the Toronto experiment as well, wasn't he? As of course was his boss, Mr. Rowley.
I think he started at Warrington. He's definitely a Warrington lad. That'd be a special try for him against his hometown team.
Sneed again seeing a massive amount of the ball, as you'd expect. And Duffy now with some running room here and can make yardage before the contact comes. It's an interesting tactic, kicking to Duffy, because we know what he can do with the kick returns.
I think the theory is you get the first one out of the way, present a solid line to him. I won't say it's been an exhausting in terms of energy levels 30 minutes, but there's a fair few players in Primrose and Blue walking back. Jordy Crowther has come on for Warrington Wolves now.
Started last week, but moved down to the bench to accommodate the return from injury of Ben Curry at loose forward.
It's interesting, that last play. They used Matt Duffy in the last play so that they've got everybody else ready to chase, and Matt Duffy as fullback doesn't have to go anywhere.
Hayes' high bomb is collected by Brierley.
Just wait, guys, wait. Go one.
He's been involved in a lot of the key plays, Ryan Brierley. He's involved in that line break when he didn't finish it off. Then he put a poor kick in, which sparked a Warrington attack, and then he had his pocket picked by George Williams for the second Warrington try.
It's a good carry from Salford. This is where they're at the most dangerous. Nenny McDonald is playing it. When you think you've got them penned, they're very likely to shift the ball and put it through 4 or 5 pairs of hands to find a gap out wide.
Laffey's a difficult man to pin down, and he was the next man to carry the ball. And there's a knock on here, though, spotted by referee James Vella. And Warrington are delighted with that.
Partington again making another mistake. He's slightly off this afternoon, uncharacteristic for him. It's a good tackle, isn't it? Leon Hayes underneath the ball.
Yeah, and it was finished off by Fitzgibbon. And between the two of them, they've forced the ball free, and Warrington are going to get the scrum feed just inside their own half here.
It's a trap. You know, them little diminutive fellas. I remember Rob Burrow. It's a trap. They run at them, but they're that powerful. They'll duck underneath the ball, and Leon Hayes did then, targeted the ball, and along with his teammate, forced an error.
Williams.
That ball should have gone.
It's another penalty.
They're offside there, Salford, but that ball should have gone from Duffy.
And Hayes has launched another Warrington Wolves attack, because now we're closing in on half-time. 6 minutes to go before the half-time siren, and a try now would be almost certain to put the scorers in front at the break. So important moments here as Walker again directing the traffic for the Warrington Wolves. Crowther on the field, as Barry said, off the interchange bench. Warrington knocking on the door, looking for their third try of the afternoon in what's been a seesaw contest in the Super League.
Out the rock! Hit this line, don't go early. Go.
That was Curry taking it forward. Now, again, Walker will be calling the shots here. You'd expect Williams to be involved late in the tackle count here, but Walker himself cannot get to the try line. And again, it is Williams prodding a kick forward, this time maybe a little too long. Who did that touch?
I think Steph Ratchford.
Check the restart, please, mate. Check the restart.
Well, the referee has called for the video ref's assistance in checking the restart, although the way he's pointing, he thinks it's a Salford 20-metre restart.
I'm still called 20-metre restart, mate. No! Hang on, hang on!
Yeah, well, we're playing on. I think it was Steph Ratchford that finally got... They're not playing on. The player's trying to play on.
Well, it was interesting because Braley was saying knock it dead, which he knows was what he didn't
Obviously,
do before.
yes.
So he's thinking, we don't want to make the same mistake I made just a moment or two ago. So that's what he was screaming for. But in the end, it's worked out perfectly for Salford. And this now is Nene McDonald, the former Leeds Rhino.
That's you!
It's Callum Watkins now taking it forward. Callum Watkins made his debut for the Leeds Rhinos in 2008, Barry, April 2008 against the Celtic Crusaders in the Cup, alongside the likes of JP, Senior, Carly Luluai, Sinfield, Maguire and Burrow, but not Barry McDermott. He's not that old, is he, Barry?
Long gone, long gone. What a player he's been. Callum
Barley's ball
Watkins.
is knocked on.
Yeah, he makes a mistake there, doesn't he? Dion Cross
knocks on,
Yeah, Dion Cross unable to collect that ball and shakes his head. The pass a little bit behind him. I talked about the no fear attitude of Salford to pass the way sometimes out of trouble in an effort to try and find some space. But yeah, just going back to Callum Watkins, what a player he's been. He's playing his trade in the back row now, and he's as tough as anybody that was there straight from the beginning of the career, but he's still got that agility, that footwork and the smarts that he had when he was a back.
Tremendous longevity, which is incredible in this sport. You know, Ratchford similarly, it's amazing how long these great players can play for.
Good professional, Callum, as well, and had his knee injuries, had a couple of years where he was playing less than 100% fit.
Williams to Ratchford, the aforementioned, is wrapped up, no space for him to work in there whatsoever. Again, it's Walker. Again, it's George Williams. It's Warrington. Oh, that's gone loose, hasn't it?
Is it Callum Watkins, is it? Yeah, Jordan Crowder catches that ball and immediately he's enveloped.
Watkins and Chris Atkin were involved in the tackle.
It's just got a little bit sloppy the last couple of minutes. I don't know whether both sides looking at the clock, looking towards the sideline. Nice low tackle from Chris Atkin, finished off by Callum Watkins. But with a couple of minutes to go before the half-time hooter, it's a chance for either side to post a try that can change the reflection and complexion, should I say, of the half-time team talk.
Well, the clock ticking down now towards half-time, and both sides fully aware of that. Sneed. Well, Salford might have one last trick up their sleeve. Donald gets it wide to Ethan Ryan, and Ryan comes inside to a welcoming committee and is knocked down 10 metres inside the Warrington half of the field. Atkin offloads. Last tackle. Possibly Salford's last chance of points in this first half.
Drop goal.
Perhaps a drop goal. Mark Sneed, the ace one-point exponent, and he's nailed it. Mark Sneed.
Irresistible from Mark Sneed, understanding the clock, the importance of 1 point. It was a big carry from Jack Ormonroyd. I've been impressed with him every time he's carried the ball forward. Left a couple of players down on the floor, left the space that Mark Sneed needed and the time he needed to get that drop goal away.
And that moves him to within one of a half-century of drop goals in his career. He knows the value of the one-pointer.
Behind the ball.
And at this stage, where there was not a lot on, one becomes of huge value. And in the end, at the final analysis, that one might be the match winner.
Love a drop goal, Rod. Love an odd number in a game, because it just forces everybody to think slightly differently. There's a knock there, is it Philbin, whilst attempting to make a tackle.
Doesn't look in a good way, guys.
Yeah, he doesn't look in a good way, Joe Philbin.
Well, Salford have already lost King Vuniyayawa to a failed concussion check. And Philbin here, I think, might be heading down the tunnel for a check himself. From the early evidence, Sam Burgess looking on with his coaching team.
Yeah, they're going to take a look at him, aren't they? Just when the ball is going forward, when the ball carrier is going forward, Philbin ends up, I don't know whether he hits somebody's arm, Ormonroyd possibly.
Well, now it's safety first, you'd think, from Salford here. Just run out a set of 6 and get down the tunnel.
You'd think that, but this is Salford Red Devils, Rod.
Well, Mark Sneed already lurking in back pay, ready to put his left boot to the ball. They've got some breathing space. Sneed telling his teammates where he wants them. It's going to go back to Sneed, and Sneed now is going to launch the left-footed kick just to get them into Warrington territory and close out this first half. The siren goes, fearless in possession. There's no space to move, there's no time to move. The tackle comes in and the first half ends. It's been an entertaining first half. It's been a very closely contested first half. Both teams have had the lead at one point or another, but that man there, Mark Sneed, the drop goal has put his side in front, and that man knows it too. Sam Burgess knows he'll need a team talk to get his team.
Who heavily influences the attack of the club will be talking about doing the basics and the fundamentals better than their opponents. Be better at the back end of sets, focus on your kick, focus on your kick chase, and grind Salford down a little bit.
When they've been in a hole before this season, they were in a hole at home to Catalans and couldn't quite dig themselves out of it, and they were in a hole 7 days ago at home to the Lee Leopards, and they did find an escape route very late on with a brilliant Matty Nicholson try. So they can do it, but you don't want to keep going back to that particular well, do you, Barry,
No.
from behind? You'll come up dry sooner or later.
No, and Warrington under Sam Burgess have had a desire and an attitude in defence that is different to the last couple of years, but coaches often talk about defending your way to victory, but there's two sides of the ball, there's two parts to rugby league. And they've got the rewards from, I think, good defence, although there may well have been a mistake there from Matty Russell.
Ready on the scrum, boys. Clock on.
Just 37, 38 minutes on the clock, and a shake of the head from Lachlan Fitzgibbon. Their opportunity to get possession back. It's a loose offload, and I think there's a knock on there from Matty Russell, who just can't regather that ball.
First appearance this year for the Warrington Wolves, but had played a couple of times for the Hull side on loan earlier on in the campaign. Scored a try against Catalans. So Salford will be relieved to get the ball back here. It seemed as though they were going to be under siege. That's Callum Watkins moving forward. And now Chris Atkin has the ball in his hands. Preferred to Kate Cust in the starting 13 by Paul Rowley. Looking to put himself in credit in terms of his coaching record. It's won 34, lost 34 so far for Salford as coach, Paul Rowley, so he can get into 50 plus on the win ratio if he can win here today. And they're on course at 11-10. What do you think Paul Rowley will be looking to do in the second half tactically, Barry?
Well, give the reins to that man. Mark Sneed's been able to control nearly every game for Salford this season, and Paul Rowley's sides throw the ball about. They back their own ability, they back the skill. The completions are high from a team that does like to throw the ball around, so just sharpen up on that skill. I think they'll be bitterly disappointed with the James Harrison try. For a player to just stroll through the play the ball and that tight rope, that'll be disappointing for him. So tighten up round the play the ball, and be better and better execution in attack.
Well, they have a very slender lead, the slenderest of leads, but it is a lead, and that allows Mark Sneyd to manage the game as he wants. And we'll see how he does it. We usually get a masterclass from Sneyd in that regard. Warrington have the ball 30 metres out. They want to get this deficit eradicated sooner rather than later. There goes Walker again. There's the little chip kick from George Williams towards the sideline. No problems. That's going to be a tackle in the air. That's going to be a penalty, which just releases the pressure valve completely.
Yeah, and a miscommunication from our gantry point here. Leon Hayes was pointing for the ball just maybe 10 or 15 metres away from that channel that George Williams kicks it in. You can just see him in the screen as the ball is caught by Ryan Briley. It would have been a bit more of an attacking kick, but just, yeah, just a bit of a brain dump there from Josh Thulis, who hasn't had too much to do in that first half.
Yeah, that was a mistake, and it's cost them probably 20-25 metres up that left-hand flank for Salford, and it releases all the pressure. It gives Salford breathing space in which to play out this next set of tackles, and Mark Sneyd with just the space he needs.
It was the completions that stuck out to me at half-time, both of them around about 70%. When Salford are playing well, Paul Rowley's side are up 80 plus and challenging with offloads and passes.
Warrington under Sam Burgess have only lost 2 matches, both of them to the Catalan Dragons, but they're under severe threat here. And it's been a weekend in the Super League where the big guns have found it very difficult. Wigan losing to Hull KR, Saints scrambling home, that's a penalty, and Catalans losing at Lee. And now this could be a 2-point opportunity for Mark Sneyd.
It's good work from Joe Mellor, just a little bit scruffy around the play of the ball. We talked about Joe took a bang past his head injury assessment. Joe Mellor out probing and forces a penalty.
Well, Sneyd turns down the offer of a 2-point opportunity, not too interested in going from 1 to 3 ahead. Still doesn't make all that much difference at this stage of the match. That's the maths of it all, and Sneyd looking for more than just 2, wanting 4, possibly 6 here for Salford. Atkins dropping the ball off. Sneyd again. What's he got in the box of tricks this time? A little inside pass. And Warrington now can ill afford to concede again and go 7 behind. Sneyd to Watkins. Watkins, can he get his arm free to offload? He can't.
Hit the line! Hit the line! 6 again!
Hayes in there with a valuable tackle. 6 again. The tackle count restarts. So Sneyd, who was shaping, I think, possibly to kick from there, didn't need to take that option, because now they can run a sequence of set plays. Again, the ball is in the hands of Mark Sneyd. Briley now joining in, and that's Laffey. Laffey's already scored once with a display of real strength, pace and power, but this time he can't find a way through the hole. The ball's been knocked on. James Vella on the spot. Rules, Salford have knocked the ball on.
Well, I think it's an incorrect play of the ball. Referee's very hot on that. Tim Laffey probably having a conversation he doesn't want to have. He can shake his head all he wants, but everybody knows you've got to put your foot on the ball, and a real let-off for Warrington.
Either way, Warrington are going to get the ball back, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, they have got the ball back. They've got the ball. And there was a time there during that passage of play and the pressure that was mounting with a penalty and then a set restart that Warrington looked like the dam could burst. I mean, last year they won the first 8 games. It was in week 9 that they started leaking oil, and in the end the wheels completely fell off at the back end of the season. They've knocked on here. That's Walker who's made the mistake.
Well, that is a lack of patience, isn't it? Sometimes, I know we've got a long way to go, 30+ minutes. Scoreboard pressure does force issues, does force decisions. Danny Walker. And do you know what? I'm going to change my mind. I think it's the work from Mellor, the work from Atkin. I thought he was trying to find an offload, Danny Walker, but just terrific work in defence.
Last season, Warrington won 11 of their first 14 games. They lost 11 of their last 14 games. You talk about a season of two halves. Well, Salford fans want a penalty. It's not forthcoming from James Vella.
It's the same again, isn't it? What we had seven, nearly 8 minutes. Neither side settled down really yet. He has played well, Jack Ormonroyd. He's big lump, hard to handle when he carries forward.
This is Mellor. That's Atkin. There was a half an overlap opportunity. Ethan Ryan is wondering why the ball didn't come his way. If it had, he felt he had a walk in, or at least a gallop into the try line. Virtually all Salford at the start of this second stanza. Sneed going into dummy half, takes him out of the kicking position, prodded forward. That's gone loose, still loose. Gathered by Warrington, but was it knocked on? It was.
Yes. Great work, because Mark Sneed, as you mentioned, Rod, would usually take that kick. He was forced in to pass that ball at dummy half. And Chris Atkin delivers a wonderful kick, judged to perfection, and Nene MacDonald, as he does so often, competes for the ball, and then Fitzgibbon can't control it for Warrington. More pressure on the Wolves, more possession for the Red Devils.
Yeah, Lachlan Fitzgibbon absolutely outstanding in the win over Lee. In fact, if I'm right in remembering, he was the player of the match against Lee. Scored a try in that comeback win, but just couldn't quite grab the ball as it was bobbling around on the ground. It wasn't an easy one to handle, but it really means that Salford here, 10 metres out, they got a scrum in a central position. They could do what a
players in the scrum.
Good spot, Murray.
They haven't got enough players. Even I know you've got to have 6 in.
Well, you were normally in it. And that is MacDonald, who had to handle a bouncing ball, and by the time he got it under control, he was being corralled by 3 Warrington Wolves, and they forced them back goodness knows how far there, 25 metres.
My gosh. That's the ugliest play I've ever seen. Everybody waiting for the whistle.
Yeah, it was a 25-yard loss on the play, wasn't it? I mean, it was an absolute mishmash. Salford is still in possession with Ormonroyd, and Jack Ormonroyd, as Barry says, very difficult to put down, takes 3 Wolves to knock him over and force him almost onto his back. And here's Sneed once more, and Atkin is involved. They're looking for one gap in the line, one opportunity, one half chance to put themselves more than a score in front. Mark Sneed.
Fine, get out! Line out! Hold!
Sneed's left boot should be dealt with, it is.
Good take, that wasn't it? Again, same again, same kick, same target. And Toby King is on hand on that occasion. Good defence.
But even so, the net result for Salford is that Warrington are coming away from their own line.
They've been under pressure, the Wolves now. Interesting to see what response they've got. Joe Bullock.
Ratchford is the man given the job of carting it over the 30-metre line, but they're still deep inside their own half here. Sam Powell's on. Sam Powell is on, and he's in at dummy half here, the former Wigan Warrior. The kick comes. It finds the grass, it finds a bouncing ball, across comes Brierley.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Mark Sneed put pressure on George Williams on that occasion. That is probably a good example of all hands on deck. Just do what's required of you for your teammate. Jack Ormonroyd getting a big round of applause as he comes to the sideline. A good shift for him.
Shorrocks comes on, Joe Shorrocks. So mentioned Sam Burgess shuffling the pack, Sam Powell coming on. Man of vast experience. It's another mistake.
Another mistake at the play of the ball from Tim Lafayette. They're unforgivable mistakes then. Big opportunity for Warrington Wolves, but a gift for the away team. He's an exceptional player, Tim Laffey, but that's twice now. You can see what he's trying to do. His job is simple: run hard and play your ball quick and create momentum in those early tackles, but you've got to play it properly.
Fitzgibbon plays the ball and Powell gets them moving. Key man off the interchange bets this season, Sam Powell. Williams involved again. When you've got a magician like George Williams, you're always in a game if you're only one score behind. Williams again involved and Powell involved again. I think we'll see these two players have the ball a lot. That's a penalty. Now Mark Sneed turned 2 down, and here...
I think you'd take 2, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Would you ever? I mean, you'd rather be one in front than one behind, wouldn't you? The finger is pointed at the post from Sam Powell, and he'll call Ratchford forward and say, put us in front, Steph.
And that's a mark of respect. I really think they've been tested and challenged here. I said before the game, 3rd versus 7 isn't a true reflection of how close these two sides are. Coach is getting messages down to the sideline. Sam Burgess will understand that 13 minutes of that second half have belonged to Salford Red Devils.
Well, I mentioned Sneed, and Paul Rowley no doubt had an input, calculated that going from 1 to 3 ahead didn't make a lot of difference on the maths and the probabilities, but what it would have done was taken out a penalty goal from Warrington, clean out the equation. Salford could defend knowing that Warrington couldn't kick a penalty.
I agree. I agree, Red. As long as this is a rugby question, not a maths question,
no,
I agree.
Well, pay attention, I'll be asking questions later.
Not on maths, please.
And you will have to show your workings, Barry. OK, well, he's still got to kick it. He's still got to kick it. Barry, based on what he's just written down the back of an envelope, will give you the percentage chance of him kicking this. Do you think he'll kick it?
Yes.
Right, well, Barry has spoken. Now Ratchford has just got to deliver the outcome. It's not a certainty by any manner of means. He's, I don't know, maybe he's 15 to 20 metres to the side of the upright, and he's about 20 metres out, but on the angle a little further, of course. Stefan Ratchford, a man who kicked 41 on the trot at one point in his career. He's kicked that one, and the Warrington fans lap it up behind the post, and Stefan Ratchford has put Warrington back in front by the narrowest of margins. Warrington leads Salford 12-11 as the clock ticks round to 55 minutes at the Salford Community Stadium.
I'll tell you what, Rod, they'll be happy with that because they haven't been anywhere near those opening 14-15 minutes. We'll wait and see whether it's a full stop, end of paragraph, beginning of a new chapter in Warrington's favour.
Oh, my word.
Well, there you go. That's the first sentence written.
Well, it just shows you, even the best players can make mistakes.
When you think back to when James Harrison scored that try and the kick after, when Matty Russell was almost forced into touch.
Yeah.
That was the involvement there, but yeah, there's too much weight on that.
Well, is this the tide-turning couple of minutes in this Super League contest? Salford led 11-10. Warrington go in front 12-11, and from the restart, Mark Sneed kicks it out on the full and invites Warrington back onto the attack. Can they go bang, bang, and go in front by more than a converted try themselves? They haven't had an attack worthy of the name in this half. Joe Bullock driving the ball forward. Sam Powell's involved. Hayes, well, he's been enveloped. It was a bit of a hospital pass to the young half-back, to be fair. And he had nowhere to go, had to take the tackle. It is...
Oh, wow.
A third tackle, I think. Oh, he's hurt. Now that is a problem.
Yeah. I knew straight away players that made the tackle got up. And unfortunately, I think this is a bad one for Leon Hayes.
Yes, I think you're right, Barry, judging by these signals coming from the Warrington physios.
What a shame.
Awful shame, yeah.
Well, at this point, we hope for his safety is okay.
Well, Warrington this week were fielding inquiries for their overseas halfback Josh Drinkwater to go on loan to other Super League clubs. And Carl Fitzpatrick, the CEO, turned them down, saying it wasn't a route they wanted to go down at the moment because they were preferring Hayes to Drinkwater, but they wanted him still on board just in case. this is going to be the just in case for weeks ahead, you would think, Barry. I mean, we can't judge right now, but it didn't look nice and it didn't look a good situation for the young halfback.
No, this is a very disappointing sight here. The Warrington players getting round each other, that they'll be aware that Leon Hayes is in big trouble here. We'll have to have a look at the tackle again to see whether there's anything in it.
Well, Sam Burgess in a hurry down to the sidelines.
I watched him with his head in his hands. He must have got the information up from the sideline that it was a bad one for Leon Hayes.
OK, while there's a break, we're going to have a look at the tries, Barry.
Yeah, well, as we said, Tim Laffey and the Salford Red Devils began the game in powerful, determined fashion. They got over for the first try, and there was a response 15-20 minutes later from James Harrison, who strolled through the middle unit of Salford Red Devils. And I love this kick. I love the urgency. I don't love what Ryan Brierley's done, trying to wish the ball over that backfield, and then Joe Mellor, he gets the last try of the first half, 11-10 at half-time. And as you said, the opportunity for Steph Ratchford to take two more puts Warrington in front, Rod. But it's just taken the shine off this game. You feel everybody's bitterly disappointed for the young halfback, but without a doubt, what we do really well in our game is respectfully, it doesn't really matter until Leon Hayes is sorted. All concerns will be for the young halfback, and that's the reason Sam Burgess and the coaching staff are on the sideline now, just making sure everything's okay for the young man.
Yeah, it looks a really nasty ankle injury, that, for Leon Hayes. And Sam Burgess, a picture of concern down on the sideline talking to Martin Gleeson. Well, first and foremost, he's got to reshuffle things here and complete this game the last 24 minutes and go on to try and win the game. But in the broader picture, he's got the health and welfare of a young halfback to think about, and what he's going to do in weeks ahead. So the questions are multiple for the Warrington coach.
Yeah. And it's also what effect it has on the players that are still on the field, the Warrington players. When you get a young man coming through the system, when you get a young man who's had an opportunity and he's doing well, it lifts the whole squad. It lifts the fans, it lifts changing rooms, lifts training, and they'll be bitterly disappointed for him. It's an easy swap. He's just going to put Danny Walker back at 9 and play Sam Powell at 7, who's done it a number of times during his Wigan career.
Yeah.
That's the easy fix. And the crowd at the back of the sticks, the Warrington fans giving him a really big, hopefully morale boosting message that he's loved, and hopefully he's not off for too long. Well, there you go. That's rugby league play for you, that, Rod. In massive pain, took a big injury, a big knock, but takes the time to appreciate the fans.
Yeah, the beauty and the brutality of rugby league emphasised in one picture. Well, you've been in this situation yourself, Barry, as a player, either
yes.
as a teammate or as an opponent seriously hurt.
Yeah.
And just explain the process of trying to stay warm and loose, and then trying to get your mind on a game. How difficult is it for a player?
Well, first and foremost, Leon Hayes' injury there. I had that injury. If I'm not mistaken, there may well be damage to the ankle, to the bone, to the bottom end of the leg. I've had that injury, but from a player left on the field's perspective, you'd probably get round everybody and say, listen, if he is out for a while, let's not make sure that this last game of his is a loss. We'll send him out with a win.
Right. It's Warrington's ball when we restart, just outside the Salford 10-metre line, but Salford themselves have got to make sure they're switched on straight away in D here as they look to hold on. They're already a point adrift. Well, Walker Back on the paddock. Warrington to within 5 metres of the line. Powell, as Barry says, will slip into the half-back position with Williams outside him. That is Powell, that is Williams. And George Williams made half a break but couldn't do any more than that.
Stay square. Hold. Go. Last.
Williams plays the ball. Walker, kick through. Not dead. And Warrington get the repeat set they craved.
Well, there's a legacy from the first half. Ollie Partington with all the time in the world.
Hang on, Barry. I think the referee has indicated here this is going to be a penalty to Salford.
It's Danny Walker offside, I think he said.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I think they've got off lightly there. I know Danny Walker is within 10 metres because he passes the ball, he chases hard. Well, Salford Red Devils won't be complaining, that's for sure.
Well, you talk about turning points. That seemed that it was going to be a goal line dropout with Warrington getting the ball. Salford, remember, tried a short dropout against Wigan when they were in peril, and it went wrong and they conceded a try and lost the match. So I think that they would have eliminated that from their repertoire. I'm sure Steed would have gone long, but Warrington would have got the ball back, and as it is, they're back on the defensive. So that has changed the mood music around the Salford Community Stadium at this stage of the match as we approach the hour mark with the wire a point in front. They went in at half-time, a point behind.
The atmosphere's just changed, hasn't it? Everybody's a bit pensive. The game is in the balance. There's been an injury from a popular player. Everybody likes to see a young man come through the ranks and thrive at the highest level. So the game really is in the balance, both on the scoreboard and emotionally.
And no one wants to see serious injuries. I mean, you go hoping to see your team win, but not see the opposition badly injured.
No.
Now Warrington have bungled this. That has gone wrong. Matty Russell has had something of a nightmare there as he couldn't bring the ball in under intense pressure.
Well, take a bow, Ethan Ryan, another player chasing hard on a kick. It's kicked from the left side, right over the other side of the field. So the opposite winger is called into action. And Matty Russell, well, he can't handle the bouncing ball. But he would have had time, he would have had space were it not for the effort of Ethan Ryan.
Yeah, the space and time disappeared. The sand ran out of the egg timer and Russell ran out of time, mishandled the football, and now it's all on here for Salford. They've turned defence into attack off that penalty for the infringement by Danny Walker, and then the mishandled ball by Matty Russell. Sneed again, there's half a gap there, it shuts. And a penalty here would put Salford back in front via a kick, you would think so. Warrington are going to be squeaky clean on their own try line. Ball comes loose, went backwards, says the referee. Steed's got it wide here. Laffey's on the charge again. This bulldozer from Samoa. Warrington believe the ball may have gone loose. They're signaling to the referee. He's not interested. That's a wayward pass. Wild pass. They've lost 30 metres again.
Oh.
And here he goes again. Joe Mellor.
Could be a double movement, Rod.
Well, they're screaming no, no, no. Well, this could be a tricky one for Tom Grant to unravel. Let's hear from the video referee, but first, what does James Vella think?
Review potential double movement.
No try, he says, on the field. So Tom Grant with the job.
It's tackle free. We've got a on-field decision of no try. So we're checking double movement into potential knock-on. Play this through. On the call, no try. We play this through in full speed again. Right, so at this point the ball carrying arm is down. There is then a paddle with the left arm which promotes him towards the line. Does the ball make the line regardless? I just need to check whether the ball actually makes the line there to determine whether it should be a penalty or a knock-on. This is the one. Right, so we've established that it is double movement. We're just checking the restart for this one. So the ball is actually lost short of the line. So it's going to be a knock-on. Got a decision.
And Tom Grant It's going to say it's no try, knock on.
Well, both sides have had their fair share of chances, haven't they? And I know it's a double movement, it's a knock on Ryan Briley. It's harsh, but you can forgive him for having a goal.
Well, they were that close to going back in front, probably by 5 points.
On a wet day, he slides over.
Oh, he does indeed.
Yeah, on a wet day, he slides over. But Joe Mellor, his acceleration, it was a loose pass and everybody stopped. Coaches and players talk about the bouncing ball. It mesmerises everybody. Everybody stands still. Quickest to react was Salford.
Yeah.
And another opportunity, but an opportunity wasted.
Well, it was a knock-on, not a double movement, which means it'll be a scrum Warrington, not penalty Warrington. They'll still get the ball, but it might make, let's say, 20, 30 metres worth of difference. Here's a break. Scything run by the little hooker, Danny Walker. Back on the field, had a little bit of a breather, and then returned to the fray with the injury to Hayes and the reshuffle for Warrington. Well, he's got himself back in a dummy half as well here, Walker. He's got some engine on him, no question. Here's Sam Powell. Powell dancing around. This is Vaughan. Can he get over? Is that the try? They're screaming for a knock-on. It's going to be another video ref decision. It may have squirmed loose as he tried to ground it. Now the decision is no try on the field. He thinks it's a knock-on. Referee James Vella. Well, it's all happening here at the Salford Community Stadium.
Okay, so it is tackle 2. Okay, it's tackle 2. We've got an on-field call of no try. We're just checking grounding. So he's in possession. We can still see the ball at this point. He's still in possession and on the ball. I then lose sight of the ball. Still lost sight of the ball, but I'll run this one through. Got sight back here. Right, I need to check different angle on that one. This one might help. So he's clearly in possession at this point, and he's over the goal line. I then lose sight of the ball. The ball is still up. I can clearly see the ball up at this point. He's still in possession here, and the ball appears to come away, but I can't see much of it. We've got an on-field call of no try. Go back to the first angle. So I've lost the ball there. Okay, I've reviewed all the angles I need and I've made my decision.
Well, the decision incoming here. Poor Vaughan thought he'd got his first Warrington try of the season. He thought he'd put them 5 in front, but he hasn't. And some last-ditch defending by Salford. We've seen a try disallowed at one end and now one disallowed at the other. Wow, incredible scenes.
That's the threat Warrington Wolves have got. A brilliant breakaway from Danny Walker. Powerful charge from Joe Bullock. And then off the back of that, Vaughan evading tackles, breaking tackles. Just couldn't get that ball down. Commitment in defence again from Salford. Well, the referee just having a word
with the two captains.
With both captains there about calming down. I don't know how you can calm down in a one-point ball game. Nobody's really had a foothold in the game. It's still the toss of a coin, isn't it?
Calm down. Don't you tell me to calm down.
Don't go anywhere.
Well, you do well to keep a calm head in this cauldron. There may be about 5,000 people in the ground, but it feels like a lot more, and it feels tense. There's an air of tension around the ground. Everyone watching knows how tight this is and how one play could make the difference, mistake or brilliance. 5,910 are here inside the Salford Community Stadium, and they're getting full value for their money, Barry, aren't they?
Yeah, great game, great game. It's not the best. I think the purists won't like the mistakes, but the tension and the drama is right up there.
Last tackle here for Salford. Sneed launches it high into open space. Oh, that's superb.
Well, the two fullbacks going head to head, and you think Matt Duffy is probably a little bit shorter, but he gets up there. His commitment and his skill and ability means he comes down with possession.
It was one-on-one, wasn't it? Literally and numerically. Brierley up against Duffy. Fieldless trying to get round the outside. Cannot go around the outside. In danger now, being dragged into touch, if not into the row A of the stand on the far side. But the tackle's complete now, no question. Ratchford there. I wonder at some point will Mark Sneed contemplate booting a second one-pointer of the afternoon to tie it up?
Why not?
To tie it up. It could be golden point again, second year running here. Deep kick collected by Ethan Ryan.
It's a good take by Ethan Ryan. It was him who tracked back to deny Danny Walker. But on the backfield, I'm just looking at my notes here, Rob, before the start of the game. Golden point and drop goal to win it. I felt all week that these two sides are really close, similar in lots of ways.
That from one of Super League's wisest soothsayers, Barry McDermott. But there's a long way to go before we get to that point, isn't it? Because the clock's barely gone past the hour. 64 minutes, 16 minutes left for play. Warrington with the slenderest of margins. The crowd know now the importance of any penalty in terms of field position, if not points, and are screaming for penalties every time there's a tackle. Well taken. It was just in front of him there, Mark Sneed. Manages to get it to Watkins. Watkins here, he puts boot to ball. The Salford skipper. But it's well read at the back there, as it so often is, by Duffy.
But great work from Callum Watkins, recognising its last tackle, a good kick. And what's the defence up to from Salford Red Devils?
That was Russell taking it forward. This is Steph Ratchford. But Warrington not making much ground this time. Salford policing Ratchford and forcing him to ground. Walker goes in at dummy half. The most busiest of performances from the Warrington hooker. This time he kicks ahead.
Early kick as well.
Got behind Brierley. Brierley has to stop and turn just a metre or two from his own goal line. Now he's on the charge. Now he's tackled.
Good chase from Warrington. Early kick on the third tackle, and Toby King just collects Ryan Brierley. Now the turning and twisting and making sure the pressure is ramping up.
Any mistake in terms of handling near your own line could be fatal here at this stage.
Kane Coston for the Salford side.
There he is, late on in the piece. He was left on the bench as they preferred Chris Atkin in the starting halves alongside Mark Sneed. But Paul Rowley now sends him on. Sends on the former Wigan standoff. That could bounce, it could go anywhere once it bounces. Never let this Rugby League football bounce, but Warrington have got away with it.
Very lucky Matty Russell let that ball bounce. Did not want a bar of it. Only travelled about 20 metres in terms of distance, but the height and the twisting nature of that ball, he just wasn't sure about it, Russell.
Could have torpedoed absolutely anywhere. Could have ended up in a Salford hands in a dangerous position. It didn't, and Warrington got away with it. Vaughan, who thought he'd got that try just a few minutes ago, chalked off by the video referee, just as Brierley's had been at the other end a couple of minutes before. It's been a busy man, video referee Tom Grant, in this game, with the scrutiny of tries and no tries. It's King. Russell was in space, but he couldn't get the ball away. Now there's a mix-up at dummy half. They've got away with it. They found Williams. Williams goes long. That's loose as well from the England captain. And it's picked up, I think, by Nicholson on the far side, Matthew Nicholson. So Warrington with some really scruffy play towards the back end of this set. They've reached the final tackle. This will need to be tidier than that. Williams gets the kick in. Up goes Ethan Ryan.
Another great catch.
Again.
Another great catch. He's been under pressure a few times under the high bomb. Different to Matty Russell, has full commitment, goes for it and gets it. Good technique.
Very much so, as Warrington launched an aerial attack. Gil Dudson probably had to play more minutes than he would have anticipated with Vuni Yawa's early concussion injury, which he couldn't return. Sneed teasing them. He gets the pass away, and they've got a little bit of space down this side now. And it's going to be a penalty now.
Yeah. Sam Powell beaten by the footwork of Ethan Ryan. As we mentioned before the start of the game, Ethan Ryan had a fitness check. You can see with all the strapping around it, the lower part of his body, a bit of a calf strain. It looks like he's picked up a bit of an injury on his knee, so bravery being shown by Ethan Ryan.
Well, penalty here, and it's a long shot in every sense, but Mark Sneed is going to take the chance.
Left footer on the right side of the field, meat and drink for Mark Sneed. He gets this one, Rod.
Well, you say it's meat and drink. I'm not sure it's that certain, but he's the best kicker in the league statistically. 31 out of 33 now this season. More goals successful than any other player in the Super League this season, but this is tricky. It's maybe 5 metres in from the touchline, and it's about 39 metres out, and the angle it'll be a little bit more, so probably the distance of the kick may be 42 metres or so, and the angle by no means simple.
You know, we've said a few times, it hasn't been the best in terms of quality, a little bit scruffy at times, but the contest has been gripping.
The video referee is checking where this penalty should be. This is interesting. Now have a look at what happens here. This kick is going to get moved. It's going to get moved back, I think. Mark Sneed had nicked a couple of metres, like any good kicker would, by the way. Any good kicker would get it back, move it forward, and just spot the ball. Is there any advantage you can get? But the referee, James Vella, with the help of Tom Grant, has moved it back to the 40-metre line.
Of course, you're right, Rod. There's a part of my brain that says, don't be so pedantic. There's a part of my brain that says, let's just get on with it.
Well, try telling that to Sam Burgess. He's not going to say, yeah, kick it where you like, Mark, is he? In fact, move it forward 20 metres if you like, mate. I mean, you know.
It doesn't make a difference. If it's 10 metres, it makes a difference. If it's 1.
Well, there's going to be a point where he gets out of his range, isn't there? It has to start raining somewhere. So, on the 40-metre line, this is a tough one. Can Mark Sneed, the master marksman, put Salford back in front? 13-12. That's a good strike. But it's not on target. He struck it well, but just didn't quite have the direction. Perhaps it was the extra metre, Barry.
It's still in the balance, isn't it? Still in the balance.
Either way, he couldn't find the target, and they're the best man in the business to try and hit it. This game not over by any manner of means.
We'll have to wait a little bit longer. There's some drama to come, without a doubt. But, as I said before the start of the game, I think this is golden point all day.
Rugby League has earned a reputation over decades as being a game all about scoring tries, but today it might be about the kicks. Oh, look at the dancing feet here. Oh, Josh Thule is taking himself over the 30-metre line and buying his team some real estate as they move up the field. They've still got the lead, remember, Warrington. Boy, they've had some scares in this second stanza. Here's the kick. On the full, Braley like a diving fielder in the slips. Great take. Great take that, because he could have dropped that, couldn't he?
Brilliant from Braley. It was a kick from 9. Danny Walker, as he does so often, pops out, going for distance and territory.
Well, they survived the scare last week, Warrington, against the Lee Leopards at home, where they got home late on in the piece. Here, they're edging towards victory. The clock is Warrington's friend. It's showing 17 minutes and 45 seconds now. It's on their side. That's a good ball to this near side too. Then McDonald, he kicks ahead. There's Salford players everywhere. Somebody must score. They haven't scored. Hang on a minute. Was that a tackle without the ball?
I think so.
Yeah, this could be a disaster for Warrington, because you could see here a penalty try and a sin binning, but who are we to preempt what the referee and the video ref will come up with here? James Vella, try.
Offside, and the contact on Briley. We're going to review it, mate.
Okay, so it's tackle 3 with a penalty try on field, so we'll check onside, offside first, and everybody's onside from this point, so we are in towards the challenge now. I'm going to stay on this angle for this. Bouncing ball. Right, there's contact there. I need more closer in on that. This one will help. So the ball is moving. It's now in the in-goal area. So Brearley's not in possession. And he's tackled. I'm just going to double check from the corner one. This will help us. Clear contact there. So the actions of the Warrington player prevents Ryan Briley from grounding the ball. Got a decision.
Well, Salford are going to get the result they wanted here from that video referral, because this is going to be a penalty try. They're going to be in front here. It's a wrong button there. Sorry? It's going to be a penalty try. It's not a try in the traditional sense. It's a penalty try. Salford have the penalty try. Danny Walker was judged to have tackled Briley without the ball, when in the opinion of the video ref he would have scored.
Ryan.
And will he spend the rest of the match in the sin bin too?
Don't approach me like that.
Well, we've had all the drama, haven't we?
It's a penalty try.
Penalty tries being explained to Ryan Briley.
The video referee's opinion, a try would have been scored. So just letting you know, it is a penalty try, right?
Whether Danny Walker goes to the sin bin.
He's been tackled off the ball, mate. Right. Yeah, just giving you. Yeah. Thanks, mate.
I think Danny Walker may well be waiting for that.
Well,
that yellow card.
Well, we've got to wait for the conversion here.
I don't think there's going to be a yellow card. I'm just listening to the referee. What a try. I still think there's some drama to go. What, we've got 8 minutes.
Well, it's going to be a simplest of conversions from bang in front from Mark Sneed. He missed that long-range penalty shot a couple of minutes ago, but he hasn't missed that. And now Salford snatched the lead.
Well, what a game this has been. Nene McDonald, who's probably one of the fastest players on the field, kicks it back inside. Briley and Atkin were in position to collect that ball, but you can understand Danny Walker's temptation to anticipate that the tackle is needed and the ball will be collected. But importantly for Warrington, no yellow card.
Well, from being in charge, they're anything but. They're 5 behind, so even if they score a try, they need to convert it. But a 1-point lead is always a tightrope walking experience, and once the kick went in, there were Salford players coming from all angles. Warrington were outnumbered at the back, and in the end, Walker took the decision to chance his arm by impeding Briley, maybe thinking he could get away with just a penalty, which would have been a decent outcome, but in the end it cost him 6.
Or he thought, as soon as that ball is caught by Briley, I've got hold of him. He was trying to time the tackle to perfection, but Briley missed. He missed the ball, so he tackled the man without the ball.
Tackling on suspicion. And a lot has gone wrong this afternoon for Ryan Briley, but it's gone right in a big way, right at the very end. And time now ticking in Salford's favour. The roles are reversed.
Well, this is where Mark Sneed will come into his own in front on the scoreboard. He'll just start that brain ticking. What do we need? Where do I need to position Warrington to make it as difficult as possible?
Well, Warrington needs something expansive and exceptional from here.
Absolutely. Hold on to hold on to your seats for this one.
They haven't got time, Barry, now to get into a grind here and start forcing repeat
They
sets.
haven't wanted to get into a grind all game, Rod, have they?
Well, even if they wanted to, they can't now because there's not enough time. They've got to try and score quickly. They haven't got time to faff around here, Warrington. They need tries, a try, they need one soon. They may only get 3 or 4 more sets, and this one is rapidly ticking down. This is the 4th tackle on this set. And now Walker, and now Powell. You think they've got to get the ball in the hands of George Williams. He's the man with the magic in his fingertips. Ratchford. There is Williams. And now this will be the final tackle as Matty Nicholson is brought to ground. Williams goes to the air. It's deep. McDonald's out there. He lets it bounce. He gets away with it. My word, there are some hearts in mouths in that Salford coaching box, weren't there, when McDonald took the decision to let that bounce.
Backpedaling Nene McDonald probably wasn't aware of the sideline. He took the gamble, but the kick from George Williams, who's got the bit between his teeth now. We will see what they class as up me, round me, over me in the last, whatever, 4 and a bit minutes. Anything goes, in other words.
Well, Nene McDonald put all his money on red there, and it bounced from one segment to another and then dropped into red 32, and he's got away with it, or red 3 at the back of his shirt. And Salford have got away with it. They've got the ball back, they've got possession, and that at this point is 9/10 of the law.
Warrington, who at different points in this game have thrown all kinds of questions at their opposition, have to force the issue.
And Barry, I know this match is still in the melting point, but at this stage, and we give you the benefit that you can change if Warrington score, who would be your player of the match?
I think Jack Ormonroyd had a good couple of stints. Joe Mello while he was on the field. And of course, we always talk about Atkin and Sneed, but I'm going to give it to somebody who I think has gone through the pain barrier, come up with a few massive plays during this match, was an injury doubt before it. Ethan Ryan, man of the match.
Ethan Ryan. There he is, the man in question, the player of the match. And have he and Salford done enough? Nearly 3.5 minutes left. The Wire have the ball in hand. But is this going to be only their 3rd defeat of the Super League season? They've got the 2 whole clubs coming up, and maybe a chance. Russell! Matty Russell! No time and no space. Ratchford's in at dummy half. Williams has his hands on the ball once more. Sam Powell shaping to kick, and is kicking. It's too long, it's too deep, I feel, and indeed it is. And Salford have the ball back in their hands.
Dion Cross relieved of that. Kick was fairly simple and fairly easy to handle. But with the clock ticking now, just over 2 minutes left of this match, there'll be some fairly conservative plays. There'll be a lot of arms going up every time a Salford player carries the ball forward. And for Warrington, they'll try and force the mistake, try and jolt the ball out of the possession of Salford ball carriers.
Yeah, they need the ball. They've got to take risks, haven't they? They've got to take risks trying to jar it free. And Salford, by contrast, have got to wrap it up. As someone once said, it's up the jumper time. Picked up by Dufty deep inside his own half. You've got to bear in mind, fatigue very much a factor at this point in the contest. Couple of minutes left. Warrington down by 5. Both teams have been in front at various times in this match, but at the moment it looks like Salford are going to be in the seat when the music stops, which it will do in less than 2 minutes here at the Salford Community Stadium, in a breathless game, full of mistakes, full of all sorts. A video refathon as well, umpteen decisions, both yay and nay, but in the end it looks like that penalty try awarded to Ryan Brierley is going to be the game changer, the difference maker, the match winner. Warrington are 70 metres away from where they want to be. They're trying to get it wide to Russell. He's still got plenty of pace. Can't break the tackle of Ryan. Half broke it, in the end ran into more traffic. Ethan Ryan did enough to slow him down.
All the tricks coming out here, shaping to kick, running. What's he got, George Williams?
George Williams has a step, he has an ability to break the line, but couldn't break it there. Walker's got to go wide to the right-hand side, he kicks this near side, the left. And that should be comfortably collected, and it is. And now we could be in last set territory unless Warrington can steal it from here. Then you'd feel Salford can run out a full set here and get Mark Sneed to do the necessary and get it off the field.
It's a big win, isn't it, for Salford?
Massive, yeah.
For their confidence.
And what about Paul Rowley, the man who turned down Hull FC? What a boost that was for the Salford Red Devils. What a week it has been. It threatened to turn into turmoil. It's going to end with Rowley staying and a win over the Warrington Wolves.
Well, before the match, I talked about two scenarios. One being unsettling all the players. Is our coach going? Are we safe? Are our jobs safe? And the second one being galvanising the environment, everybody getting together, sticking together and eking out a win. And as we saw when we watched against Wigan, a heroic loss when you did ever so well is worth nothing.
And there's
this
the
is an ugly win.
And Salford have won. Salford have beaten the Warrington Wolves. What a weekend in the Super League. Catalan Dragons beaten, Wigan Warriors beaten, Warrington Wolves beaten. Salford have won here to move up into the top six. Paul Rowley celebrates, he salutes the fans and they respond. And well they might. What an afternoon at the Salford Community Stadium. That is a terrific win. They had to really dig in and dig deep, Salford. And credit to them, kudos to Paul Rowley and his team. They needed a penalty try late on when it looked as though Warrington were just about going to scramble home. But in the end, Warrington's luck ran out. They almost lost to Lee last week. They have lost to Salford this week. It's a terrific win for Salford. It's only the third defeat Warrington have suffered under Sam Burgess, and it's the first apart from